Before it's too late, this one decision can change your life. There's a decision you need to make today that will determine whether you spend the next 5, 10, or 20 years with regret or with fulfillment. Most people postpone this decision until circumstances force their hand, but by then, the opportunities have passed and the cost of inaction becomes painfully clear. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory or motivation for the sake of motivation. This is about a fundamental truth that successful people understand and that those who struggle often miss entirely. The decision I'm talking about affects every area of your life: your finances, your relationships, your health, your sense of purpose, and your overall happiness. It's the kind of decision that seems simple on the surface, but requires real courage to make and even more courage to follow through on. Let me start by asking you a question. When you look at your life right now, are you living the way you truly want to live, or are you living the way circumstances have shaped you to live? Are you actively creating your future, or are you passively letting your future happen to you? Most people, if they're honest with themselves, fall into the second category. They wake up each day and respond to whatever comes their way. They react to problems, they fulfill obligations, they meet expectations that others have set for them, but they're not actively steering their own ship. They're passengers in their own lives, and years pass by with a nagging feeling that something is missing, that there must be more to life than this endless cycle of routine and responsibility. The one decision that can change everything is the decision to take full ownership of your life. Not next week, not next month, not when the timing is better, or when you have more money, or when the kids are older, or when work calms down. Right now, today, in this moment. Taking ownership means accepting that where you are right now is the result of all the decisions you've made up to this point, and where you'll be in the future will be the result of the decisions you make from this moment forward. It means letting go of blame, letting go of excuses, letting go of the comfortable story you've been telling yourself about why things are the way they are. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I am responsible for my life, and if I want it to change, I must change. This is not an easy decision to make because it requires you to give up something that feels good in the short term. The ability to blame your circumstances, other people, your past, the economy, your upbringing, or bad luck for why your life isn't what you want it to be. Blame is comfortable. It lets you off the hook. It allows you to stay stuck without feeling bad about it because, after all, it's not your fault. But here's the truth that successful people understand. Blame and progress cannot coexist. You can have explanations for why things are difficult, but the moment you use those explanations as reasons to stop trying is the moment you give away your power. Taking ownership doesn't mean you deny that external factors exist or that some people face greater challenges than others. Of course, life isn't fair. Of course, some people start with advantages while others start with disadvantages. Of course, unexpected events happen that knock you off course. But what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck is not the presence or absence of obstacles. It's the decision to either focus on what they can control or focus on what they cannot. You cannot control the past. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control what other people think or do. You cannot control much of what happens to you. But you can absolutely control how you respond, what you do next, and what you choose to focus on. Let me give you some concrete examples of what taking ownership looks like in different areas of life. In your career, taking ownership means stopping the habit of complaining about your job, your boss, or your lack of opportunities, and instead asking yourself what skills you could develop, what value you could provide, what problems you could solve, and what steps you could take to create the career you actually want. It might mean going back to school, learning new skills online, starting a side business, networking with people in your desired field, or simply becoming so excellent at what you do that opportunities naturally come your way. Yes, the job market might be competitive. Yes, you might face rejection. Yes, it will require effort and time. But if you wait for the perfect opportunity to land in your lap without any effort on your part, you'll be waiting forever. In your finances, taking ownership means stopping the pattern of living paycheck to paycheck while telling yourself you don't earn enough to save or invest. It means creating a budget, tracking your spending, identifying where money is being wasted, making difficult choices about what you truly need versus what you want, and finding ways to increase your income while decreasing your expenses. Every single person who has built wealth started by making a decision to take control of their money rather than letting money control them. They didn't wait until they earned more to start managing money properly. They managed what they had, no matter how small, and that discipline is what allowed them to build more over time. In your health, taking ownership means accepting that your body is responding to the choices you make every single day about what you eat, how much you move, how much sleep you get, and how you manage stress. You can have all the genetic disadvantages in the world, but if you eat nutritious food most of the time, exercise regularly, get adequate sleep, and avoid destructive habits, your health will improve. Conversely, you can have the best genes in the world, but if you consistently make poor health choices, you will suffer the consequences. Your doctor can give you advice and medication, but they cannot live your life for you. Only you can make the daily choices that determine your health outcomes. In your relationships, taking ownership means recognizing that the quality of your relationships is determined by what you bring to them. If you want better friendships, be a better friend. If you want a stronger marriage, become a better spouse. If you want your children to respect you, show up consistently and be worthy of respect. It's easy to focus on what others aren't doing or how they're disappointing you, but that focus keeps you powerless. When you shift your focus to what you can do differently, how you can communicate better, how you can show up more consistently, how you can be more present and engaged, your relationships transform. The reason most people don't make this decision to take full ownership is because it's scary. When you take ownership, you no longer have the comfort of excuses. If you fail, you can't blame anyone else. You have to face the possibility that maybe you're not as capable as you thought. Maybe you'll work hard and still fall short. Maybe people will judge you. Maybe you'll look foolish. These fears are real and they're powerful. But here's what you need to understand. The fear of taking ownership and potentially failing is nothing compared to the regret of reaching the end of your life and realizing you never really tried. Regret is a weight that grows heavier with each passing year. The pain of discipline is temporary and leads to pride and accomplishment. The pain of regret is permanent and leads to bitterness and wondering what could have been. Let me share what happens when you truly make this decision. First, you experience a shift in your energy and focus. Instead of spending mental energy on complaining, blaming, or wishing things were different, you redirect that energy toward action and problem solving. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about this and what can I learn from this?" This shift alone changes everything because energy flows where focus goes. When you focus on problems and obstacles, you see more problems and obstacles. When you focus on solutions and opportunities, you start seeing possibilities you never noticed before. Second, you gain respect from others and, more importantly, from yourself. People are naturally drawn to individuals who take responsibility for their lives. Nobody wants to be around someone who constantly complains and blames but never takes action. Conversely, people admire and want to support those who acknowledge challenges but keep moving forward anyway. Your children will learn more from watching you take ownership of your mistakes and your life than from any lecture you could give them. Your colleagues will respect you more when you deliver results rather than excuses. And your own self-respect, which is the foundation of confidence and happiness, grows every time you do what you said you would do and follow through on your commitments to yourself. Third, you develop resilience and adaptability. When you take ownership, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become a navigator of circumstances. You understand that setbacks are feedback, not failure. You learn to adjust your approach when something isn't working rather than giving up or blaming external factors. This resilience becomes one of your greatest assets because life will absolutely throw unexpected challenges your way. The question is not whether difficulties will come, but how you'll respond when they do. People who have taken ownership of their lives weather storms that would devastate others because they've developed the mental strength and practical skills to adapt and overcome. Fourth, you create momentum. Taking ownership leads to action, and action leads to results, even if those results aren't perfect at first. Those results give you information about what works and what doesn't, which allows you to refine your approach. Each small win builds confidence and creates momentum for the next step. Over time, this compounds into significant progress that would have seemed impossible when you started. The people who seem to have it all figured out didn't start that way. They started by taking ownership of one area of their life, then another, building momentum over months and years until the life they created bore no resemblance to the life they had when they began. Now, let me be clear about what taking ownership does not mean. It does not mean you have to do everything alone or that asking for help is weakness. In fact, taking ownership often means recognizing what you don't know and seeking out mentors, coaches, courses, or resources that can help you get where you want to go faster. It does not mean you have to be perfect or never make mistakes. Mistakes are part of growth, and taking ownership means acknowledging mistakes, learning from them, and doing better next time rather than pretending they didn't happen or blaming them on someone else. It does not mean you ignore external challenges or pretend systemic issues don't exist. It simply means you focus your energy on what you can influence rather than what you cannot. The timing of this decision matters more than you might realize. Every day you wait is a day you cannot get back. Every month that passes without taking ownership is a month where your circumstances are shaping you rather than you shaping your circumstances. Every year that goes by without intentional action is a year closer to looking back with regret. I don't say this to create panic or to make you feel bad, but to create urgency around a truth that most people ignore until it's too late. You have a limited number of days on this earth. You don't know how many, but you know the number is finite. The question is whether you'll spend those days as the author of your story or as a character in a story someone else is writing. Think about the version of yourself 5 years from now. There are two possible versions. One version is you after 5 years of taking full ownership, making intentional decisions, taking consistent action toward your goals, learning from setbacks, building skills, creating opportunities, and refusing to settle for less than what you're capable of. The other version is you after 5 years of waiting for the right time, making excuses, staying comfortable, reacting to circumstances, and letting fear keep you from taking chances. Which version do you want to meet? The gap between those two versions is created by the decision you make today and the actions you take starting right now. Let me give you a practical framework for making this decision real rather than just a nice idea. First, identify one area of your life where you've been avoiding ownership. Maybe it's your health, and you've been blaming your schedule or your metabolism for being out of shape. Maybe it's your career, and you've been blaming the economy or your lack of connections for staying in a job you hate. Maybe it's your relationships, and you've been blaming other people for the distance or conflict. Pick one area, just one to start, and write down all the reasons you've been giving yourself for why things are the way they are. Second, next to each reason, ask yourself honestly whether it's something you can influence or something you cannot. For the things you cannot influence, like the past or other people's choices, you need to let them go and accept that dwelling on them gives you nothing but an excuse. For the things you can influence, even slightly, write down one concrete action you could take in the next 24 hours to move in a better direction. It doesn't have to be a massive action. Small, consistent actions compound into major results over time. Third, make a commitment to yourself, not to anyone else, just to yourself, that for the next 30 days you will take ownership of this one area. That means no complaining about it, no blaming others, and no using circumstances as an excuse. It means taking one action every single day, no matter how small, that moves you toward improvement. It means when you face setbacks, which you will, you ask, what can I learn from this, and what will I do differently next time, instead of giving up. Fourth, find accountability. This could be a friend, a family member, a coach, an online community, or even a journal where you track your actions and progress. Human beings are far more likely to follow through on commitments when they know someone is watching or when they have to report their results. Accountability is not about judgment. It's about support and honest feedback that helps you stay on track. Fifth, celebrate your progress no matter how small. Taking ownership is hard work, and you need to reinforce the behavior by acknowledging your efforts and wins. Did you go to the gym when you didn't feel like it? Celebrate that. Did you have a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it? Celebrate that. Did you spend an hour learning a new skill instead of watching television? Celebrate that. These celebrations train your brain to associate taking ownership with positive feelings, which makes it easier to keep going. The beautiful thing about this decision is that it's never too late to make it as long as you're alive and breathing. I don't care if you're 20 years old or 70 years old. I don't care if you've spent the last decade making poor choices. I don't care if everyone in your life has told you that you'll never amount to anything. The past does not determine the future unless you let it. Every single day is a new opportunity to decide who you want to be and how you want to live. Some of the most successful and fulfilled people in history made this decision later in life after years of struggle and failure. What mattered was not when they made the decision, but that they made it and followed through. I want to leave you with this final thought. The life you're living right now is the sum total of all your decisions up to this point. If you're not happy with where you are, the good news is that means you have the power to change it because you're the one making the decisions. The bad news is that means you cannot blame anyone else and you have to do the work. But I promise you this. The temporary discomfort of taking ownership and doing hard things is infinitely better than the permanent discomfort of regret and unfulfilled potential. You have greatness within you. You have capabilities you haven't tapped into. You have potential that's waiting to be unleashed. But none of that matters if you don't make the decision to take ownership and act on it. So I'm asking you right now, today, before you close this video or move on to the next thing, to make the decision. Decide that from this moment forward, you are taking full ownership of your life. Decide that you will no longer be a victim of circumstances, but a creator of circumstances. Decide that you will focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. Decide that you will take action even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Decide that you will learn from every setback and keep moving forward. Decide that you will become the person you're capable of becoming, regardless of how long it takes or how hard it gets. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below telling me the one area where you're committing to take ownership starting today. Subscribe to this channel if you want more content about personal growth, taking action, and creating the life you deserve. But most importantly, take the first step today, not tomorrow, today. Because your future self is counting on the decision you make right now, and years from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point where everything changed. Make the decision. Take the action. Change your life. I believe in you, and I'll see you in the next video.